Yeah. Hopefully everybody is already pulled up to breakfast. Ain't nobody late because the eggs get cold, okay? Remember that everybody's quiche ain't quiche, all right? Some people use the microwave and some people buy the already made, right? Oh, it's a funky morning. Hey, somebody uncle's a funky foot. We know where he coming from and it ain't coming from home, baby. He been gone for too long. Hey. The song I'm listening to now is by the JBs. It's with James Brown and the crew, you know. It's called Doing It to Death. All right. Hey. This makes me think of Bernie Mac and Steve Harvey. This makes me think of my dad, your uncle. Cookouts, cutouts. Remember cutouts? Sandals. Yes. And the dress suits, the summer suits. Yes. Hey. Ooh. Higher. Hey. We're gonna have Hey, I can't help it. I can't. This James Brown got me. Hey, we're gonna have a funky good time. Woo! Get auntie. Make sure she don't drink all the sangria while she over there because she getting real quiet. Pay attention to her. Don't let her drink all that champagne. She getting up there. And her pancreas can't take all that liquor. Especially if she had something sweet already. If you had something sweet and you drank, dangerous combination. Too much sugar, baby. Hey. Watch out for that diabetical. I said it the way I wanted to say it. And them pressures. The high blood pressure and the peer pressure. And the cousin pressure. And the pressure. And the memories pressure. Watch out for temptation, baby. Oh. Motown, Detroit. Everybody taking me there. Okay. He's leaving on a midnight train to Georgia. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Hey, thank you, baby. I appreciate you. He's leaving on a midnight train to Georgia. And if he ever decide to leave on a midnight train to Georgia because he's going back to find a simpler place in time, you let him go. Before you turn into a pillar of salt. You know, a bitter lady. Morton, it's the rain. The good time. Hey, you're gonna have a funky good time. That's James Brown. Pay attention. Hey. Hey. Higher. The cousins are on the porch. They about to come in funky in the John, but they about to pack them plates. So you pay attention because they might take all the little crab bites. Pay attention. Somebody bought all oxtail the other day. It's expensive. Only take 2 pieces if that's not your house. Woo! And stop bringing all that cheap liquor over people's house when you eat past $30. Woo! It's gonna get higher. Put the refrigerator to sleep then. Euthanize the fridge. So let's take these gloves off because it's time to get into inside gossip. I made my coffee. I have some banana pudding. Extra cookie. Oh my God. I made this with graham cracker and vanilla wafers. We opted out of the chessmen, but let me tell you, we used French vanilla for the pudding and we used banana and we used heavy whipping cream. Awesome. Very good taste. And now we are ready to hear Inside Gossip by Alexis Sisco. Oh, You know that ain't that person spouse that they done pulled up at that house with, right? It's not my fault you're spreading karma, or you just pulled up with that chick. Yeah, y'all messy. Y'all let anybody come sit at y'all table so y'all can talk about them soon as they leave. Oh boy. Mm-hmm. Somebody got threatened about that old little cheap little birthday. Well, no birthday present. It might be a birthday present if your birthday coming at the same time as Christmas. But yeah, somebody complaining. Somebody ungrateful. Mm-hmm. Dang, and I got a Chicago cup that might be significant. I got Chicago. I know. Blue in the night with the moon. I don't know what's going on in Detroit. Nighttime activities. So you're a pig. Is that what you're saying? And the insides of your entrails have come out. Why is your butthole so loose? What have you been doing last night? Are you the confused one? And you did say Virginia. So do you have a house in Virginia? I'm only asking questions. This is Green Mountain vanilla caramel coffee. Awesome. 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 Why is your butthole such a wreck? He was that large? You know, when it's too large, it causes colon cancer, okay? So be mindful of what you can handle. Jesus. Yikes. Shame, shame, shame. Chain of fools. Oh boy. So it's a chain of fools. Is somebody passing down some wrong information or some generational curse today, right now, as we speaking? Somebody's passing down some bull crap that don't need to go to the next generation. Hopefully that generation deciphers it out and realizes that family member or whoever that is a clown. Why are you passing bull crap? Okay, let's stop it. Ease up, ease up. All right, so let's get it. That was loud. The music is too loud for me to read over, so I'm going to turn it off. And that was Aretha Franklin. Aretha. Yeah, but you came to see me, and guess what? I'm colorful and entertaining. So if that's what makes me, that's what's up. The fact that you're here is not missed. Hey, how are you? Yes. So, while my wonderful subscribers are here and they love my energy and they love to see colors and they like to see something different, and they're not here for the fluff and the sugar. They like to see the fluff, but they're here for the stuff. They're here for the meat and the potatoes of life. Thank you. If you're going through life looking for somebody to make you feel like the big guy on campus, guess what? You're not the big guy on campus. Matter of fact, can you afford to be there? Huh? No. Okay. Bye-bye. So yeah, let me take a taste of the banana pudding. It's so good. Good morning, Titus. Oh my gosh. The way the cookies and the granola and the graham cracker have like melted, and I can't find any of the banana, which I'm really not actively looking for because I don't like banana that much. But who says no to banana pudding with lots of cookies in it? I don't know who. I don't want to meet them. So, how are we? Are we ready? Are we settled in? Because I'm going to read. And then I'm not going to be looking at comments. So you guys are going to be able to talk to each other. Feel free to talk about the contents of the book. Feel free to order the book. It's on Amazon and it's on Barnes and Nobles. You can order it from Rose Dog Bookstore. Once again, it is by Alexis Sisco. It's called Inside Gossip. And let's get into it. And I'm going to take down the light a little bit so that I'm less distracting, if that's a thing. think that made me more distracting. But either way, let's just get it in. Because someone likes story time. Some people like to hear stories and they like to hear other people read. Me, it depends, especially if you like have a personality while you're reading. Yeah. Yeah, so here we are. Hi. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Diwali. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy to everybody. Happy celebration, end of year celebration, Chinese New Year, everything. Everything. Absolutely everything. Okay, so let's get into her. Yeah. Hopefully everybody's having a great morning. Some people were in the spirit and everybody's saying yes. So just let people keep the energy that they had for you all year this year, and let's go forward with all the people who we still love, genuinely love, and are still trying to figure out and are trying to figure us out. So reciprocity is the velocity. All right. Okay, let's go. And Leoden will be here with us to kind of like, guard me from all the mean people that seem to get up in the morning and like log into YouTube and find people to try to irritate. Shout out to you all. Love you too. Okay. Inside Gossip, page 1. Oh, wow, is what I say to myself every time I see this bitch on my timeline. The witch name is Waverly. She's always got a new man, and they definitely don't know what her dark secret is. The real catch is the hoe got AIDS. She clearly doesn't have a heart at all. With 2 children and a husband, this information is brutal. The husband won't leave because guess what? He got it too. They make a beautiful pair, but looks are very deceiving. Darren is 6'2" with chocolate gold skin, and Waverly is the color of mocha latte with a dash of cinnamon. Her auburn hair alone drives men crazy. She has a nice smile, but her small waist and perfect ass put most to shame. Darren wasn't too bad himself. He definitely has a nice smile with big hands and feet, a 190-pound frame with a full beard to boot. I'm just going to keep it right on scrolling like I didn't even see anything. Excuse me. I will not even put an emoji. Let's just say I don't invite drama. It just has a way of finding me. Merry Christmas. Hello. My name is Tova Gold, and everyone likes to tell me shit. I mean, everything. I think that's because I don't talk much or gossip, so it's pretty safe to say your secret is safe and secure with me. I try not to judge, so I kind of hear it all. You see, Waverly, aka Ass of Fire, is one of my older cousins on my dad's side, of whom I barely see in person. Last year at the family reunion, I went into Auntie Diane's house to use the bathroom. Her house always looks clean, but her low key got roaches. So, as I was finishing up in the bathroom, I had to make sure no little visitors was on me. I thought I heard someone crying in the living room. That is when I peeked in and I saw Waverly quietly sobbing into a pillow on the couch. Naturally concerned, I asked her what was wrong. She sat up and asked, "Is there anyone else in the house?" I told her no, but I proceeded to check anyway. It was the end of July and hot as hell. So everyone was out in the yard enjoying themselves. They had music, food, games, and Aunt Betty was out there telling lewd jokes. So no one was really checking for us. My cousin Waverly tells me to sit down. After swearing me to secrecy, then she begins to tell me the story behind her tears. It starts off with her taking the kids to their routine doctor's appointments. Then figures since she's there, why not get checked out too? My little cousins Tammy and Camille's test results came back 100% healthy. No problem there. They just had to wait for the lab work. So the nurse takes the usual blood work to run tests like thyroid, vitamin levels, and STDs from Waverly. The normal stuff. A week later, she said the doctor called her and asked if she could come into the office, and that's when she got nervous. Anywho, long story short, he drops the big one on her. Says she's in the beginning stages of HIV. For those of us who don't know, that's what they mean when they're saying house in Virginia. Of course, she didn't take that too well. Crazy thing is, there are other factors that make this so effed up. Darren is her husband of 8 years, while Dominic, her latest boy toy, has only been around for 3 months. Waverly keeps a steady rotation, so there is really no telling where it came from. I'm in shock, but not too surprised. Way, a pet name, apparently men like, has a nice body and an average face, a messed up attitude with zero accountability. It's always someone else's fault why things didn't go her way. You know me. I just sat there listening forever the non-judgmental ear. I'm wondering if she is really taking her meds and how long she was going to wait to tell them this bullshit. So this is some far-reaching stuff she is hiding. All I know is use protection, but the word selfish would be an understatement. Let's say self possessed, obsessed. Glad we weren't that close at the time for way too many reasons I can't explain. So I asked, do they know? I knew she hadn't said anything yet, but I wasn't going to let her forget either. I don't know what makes people do what they do without caution. Glad I'm on the inside because this is way more than gossip. She says, not yet, but Darren has to take a physical next week for a new job. He's an IV tech and they always take blood work, but Dominic is a truck driver, so maybe I can dump him before he finds out. Yo, how fucking foul is she? It's almost like a superpower how unbothered she is about her sexual affairs. Although it can be an admirable trait, even Superman had kryptonite to make him weak. Being the confidant I am, I say, maybe you could dodge this bullet. Lord help me. Just to cheer her up, I mentioned an episode I saw on Judge Lynn, a court show I watch sometimes. It was a case where someone was infected, but their partner didn't get it. So they were suing for reckless endangerment and attempted murder. Go figure. I really didn't want her to be sad, and her crazy ass readily agreed because she perked right on up, FaceTime Darren, and then went back outside with the kids, and so did I. Ain't that a bitch? The following first week of August was way too hot, so the grounds were covered in fallen ripe fruit from the peach trees. I just so happened to work in a psych hospital called Peachtree Hospital Center. This is where I got used to hearing these bizarre stories. The air on its campus smelled of overripe peaches, hence the name Peachtree. 14 acres of land donated years ago by early settlers. It now housed individuals considered criminally insane or a danger to society. On this particular day, I was sitting in the hallway at work monitoring the patients. At first, things seemed very normal. There I was sitting in the hallway doing my job when all of a sudden, here comes one of the hall monitors named Pam. She had a glittery look in her eyes. Pam is a floater, but only works in buildings as needed, and standing 4'11, lumpy and loud, she is a sight to behold. With purple hair cut into a mullet, large colorful earrings, you best believe her gossip is just as bizarre as her outfits. Everyone that knows that this is the official look of gossip. Let me tell you, it was really some wild shit going on. She asked me, do you know Karen? I said, yeah, why? We have only been working at the same job for 4 years, so I know there has to be more than this line of questioning. I gave her a hard stare because everything, obviously, something was up. Like I said, people tell me everything. In Tova, we trust must be a motto somewhere. Laugh out loud. She goes on to say, well, do you remember that patient that got discharged at the beginning of the year, Scotty P? Girl, Karen started fucking with him and moved him in with her and her kids. And guess what? Pam pretends she is holding her breath, knowing my curiosity is definitely piqued. She then feigned as though she had changed her mind about telling me. Pamela started to laugh at me. My face must have shown how eager I was for this shit show. Driving me crazy at this point. I'm eager for the details. So I'm like, what? Tell me. She pauses for suspense, then says, he raped the youngest girl and drowned her in the bathtub. She wasn't bloody or anything like that, but she was dead. He must have really been a sick man to do her like that. And after all, Karen had risked for him. What a damn payback for sure. Me. Stop playing. She is such a quiet person. Oh my goodness. You really never know what people are capable of. Pam says, she's stupid. That's what her hot ass gets. She knew he was a patient with pedophile charges. She should be in jail for neglect. The comments were relentless, but some of it was true. It was definitely not a good idea to have an intimate relationship with the ex-con with that particular charge. But now Karen's life has changed forever because she let her emotions guide her into a situation where she didn't think. If the situation had turned out differently and positive, we would have never known anything about their relationship. They probably could have easily gotten married and become Mr. and Mrs. Scotty P. Once again, I didn't say anything, but I thought to myself, I do agree. Later that same day at lunch, guess who I see sitting together, yucking it up in the corner? Yep, Pam and Karen. Hi. Glad I didn't comment earlier because people set you up like that all the time. Pretend that they don't rock with certain people. Then you find out they are related after y'all done talked a bag of shit about them. When I got back from lunch, I noticed they text on my phone from Waverly, calling to say, calling me to say, call her ASAP. Suddenly, I recall everything she told me at the reunion, but I can't really call her now because my job break was over and was due back on the floor shortly. My job is interesting mainly because it's 1 minute it's calm and the next you could be getting your ass kicked. Definitely in those places. I went to put my things away, then came out of the locker room and saw a few patients huddled up near the end of the hallway. Out of all 38 patients, the ones I saw were the patients you don't want to see together. Suddenly suspicious, I took the head check to see where everyone was and to make sure they were accounted for. Something sure didn't feel right, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Last name on the head check was Juan Quentin. And I didn't see him in the hallway, so I checked the day room where everyone watches TV. But he wasn't there either. It was not medication time, so I went to check the restrooms. At first, I just knocked on the door and called out, but no one answered. So I called a male staff member to assist me. As a female, I shouldn't go in there by myself for fear of rape or accusations, so my coworker Tim helped me. Tim is a pretty big guy, so I wasn't too afraid. We approached the door, male staff first. That's when we smelled something foul in the air, like X and poop. Then we saw him. Juan Q was in the last stall of three on the floor crying. Damn. This is an ugly situation. Juan is what you would call a pretty boy, but he wasn't gay. This kind of attack had to hurt his pride. Juan was of Cuban descent, dark skinned, beautiful curly hair, hazel eyes. He actually considered himself a ladies' man, flirting always with the female staff. I wasn't prepared for this. He was small built, but strong. But apparently, his 120 pounds of muscle were no match for the men who attacked him that day. The scene was horrendous. When we laid eyes on him, his pants were down around his ankles, blood and feces were everywhere. While trying not to throw up, I took a look at the head check to see patient activity for the day, and Juan Q's slot was empty for 2 consecutive blocks. Per policy, we are supposed to do checks every 30 minutes, especially to avoid incidents like this. Immediately went to the charge nurse to alert her of the incident. The fact that someone dropped the ball definitely could not and would not fall on me. After all, I was on break. I could have easily looked at the schedule to see who was supposed to do it, but that is what the charge nurse is for, especially when she didn't have any problem repeatedly telling you that this is her job. Tim and I managed to find some clean sheets and some other supplies to help escort Mr. Quentin to the treatment room without further embarrassment. We all knew the damage that had been done. Personally, I don't like to be the one to find anything like this because mistakes are easily made, and one day it could be you. Real stuff, real talk. Got to be real careful when you're working in these types of environments because one slip up can get everyone in trouble. That's not in the book. Next page. Now we have to start the paperwork for the investigation involving Juan Q. Basically, he was gang raped. Being the one to find stuff like that is never in your favor because now you have to write a report, talk to the police, and you basically are the whistleblower, aka snitch. So now I'm in the nurse's station writing my statement when I hear the nurse and the patient in the treatment room discussing what happened. Juan Q is crying about the incident, saying, "They took me, all three of them. And I'm not giving any names until you get me off this unit." F that. I can sympathize simply because those patients can and will definitely retaliate for him snitching. The next time will be the last time if they catch him again. I feel bad for both JQ and my coworker. As I mentioned earlier, his name is Tim. He usually picks up his kids from daycare after work at 3 p.m., but because of the developments at work, he has to fill out a statement as the second witness. I heard him say before that even though his wife doesn't work, she's not a lot of help with the kids. That would be his dumbness because after having one child with that heifer, I wouldn't have had three kids with her. As usual, I say nothing because it's not my business. My heart goes out to him, though. He's generally a good guy, well groomed and intelligent, big, strong, a little aloof, and obviously clueless about love. It was going on 4:30 p.m. and we were just clocking out. Tim walks me to my car and it looks like he wants to say something, but he also looks tired. I've been there before. I'm tired too. His wife called and cussed him out, threatening to take the kids, then accused him of cheating, all because she had to pick the kids up from daycare. Tim looked as if he was going to cry when he got off the phone, but he held tight until the end of the workday. That would have been the second time I saw a man cry that day, and it would have worn me out. Events they both really had no control over, but definitely had a part in. Oh well. So I get in my car and he's still looking at me, but kind of weird like though. So I just gave him a little side hug for encouragement, told him I'd see him tomorrow, hoping maybe the small gesture might cheer him up. I see him going to his car as I pull slowly out of the parking lot, hoping he's okay. I rush home to call Waverly, aka Ass on Fire. As I enter my home, I see it's a mess, and my husband Dale is a slob. Despite how many times we've argued about it, the same things happen. Clean for a few days and then right back to the same old routine. Even when he does clean, it's not thorough. So, what's the point? He's presently there, so I give him a kiss, hello, and ask about his day. His response is bland to say the least, and he never took his eyes off his phone. I'm used to it, so I begin the daily routine of settling in for the night. This process usually takes about an hour, but today I've got a lot on my mind, so maybe an hour and a half. I'm standing in front of the mirror, eyeing my semi perfect figure. I am 5'6" and about a size 10. I have dimples on my ass and face with a nice full set of double D breasts. I love the way I look, but there's always better. Which reminds me that I really need to find time for the gym before I don't have that anymore. I started with removing my uniform. It's almost always scrubs. Next, I began straightening up the place a little bit. My darling husband decides to sit in my way today, but I continue by stepping around him to start charging my phone and prepping for dinner. I plan to catch the evening news on Karen's situation later. Here we go. I was taking some chicken drums out of the freezer when I heard the 6 o'clock news come on with a breaking story. The reporter starts with, "And now this. A former psych patient could possibly be charged with first-degree rape and murder of his live-in girlfriend's youngest daughter." We will go live after this commercial break. I had rushed into the living room to tune in and noticed that Dale had gone upstairs, which was fine with me because I wanted to hear the details and he may pick that time to start a conversation. While I was waiting for the commercials to go off, I kept thinking about how he never did ask me about how my day was. Whatever. The news comes back on and I'm totally glued to the screen. The reporter starts with, "This is Linda Sue here with the Channel 2 6 o'clock news, reporting live on a scene of today's tragic events. Today, a girl 13 years of age has had her life taken away by her mom's live-in boyfriend of 11 months. Sources say he was a former patient at Peachtree Hospital Center, a psych facility known to house individuals with mental and criminal backgrounds, the same hospital in which the victim's mother has been an employee for 5 years. The victim is the youngest of three siblings. Reportedly, the teenager returned home from school and was home alone with the suspect. The mother was at work doing a 16-hour work shift, and the other children, ages 15 and 16, had not returned to the home from school yet. That is when things went terribly wrong. Reports say a neighbor witnessed a man described as African American, about 5'11", leave the home with several black garbage bags. They believe he was aged between 30 and 50, and if anyone has any other information, hopefully they will come forward. Reports go on further to say that when the children returned home that evening, neither of them expected to find their youngest sibling deceased and naked in the bathtub. Upon further discovery, they found that all of the suspect's belongings had been removed from the home prior to the neighbors knowing. More details at 8 o'clock. Crazy. I turned the TV off and my mouth was hanging wide open. I'm speechless. Now I'm like, where is Karen's statement? So I set my alarm for 7:50 because I need to hear the rest of this story. It's now 6:40 p.m. and I'm about to start dinner. My husband is back in his favorite spot on the couch, again doing something on his phone. F him and whatever he is doing on that damn phone. I could start a whole new life and he probably wouldn't even notice. Right now, I'm temporarily mad that I'm being ignored, so I start slamming pots and pans around like a crazy woman. He looks up from his phone to ask what I'm cooking. So now I'm extra heated, really throwing stuff around because it seems like he doesn't care. Suddenly, I remember Waverly. It's only 5 minutes to 7. So, in my mind, a phone call should only take about 5 to 7 minutes to catch up. It shouldn't take me that long to catch up. The rice is almost done, the veggies are steaming, and the meat is still marinating. If I start cooking at 7:20, I should be done around 8ish. Just when I take my phone off the charger, the a-hole Dale decides to talk. But of course, I ignored him to step out into the balcony of our townhouse to call Waverly. I have been home since 5 p.m. and now you want to talk? That shit can wait. Hold up, let me see. Is your book written in crayon? I don't know. Is your life written in crayon? All you do is take a razor and scrape it off. It's like bird shit. Did you feel lucky? Huh? Did you? Anyway, back to the book. The phone is ringing, and on the fourth ring, Waverly finally picks up like she ran a marathon to get there. I say the usual greeting. Hey, what's up? How have you been? She responds with, girl, it's been bonkers over here. I thought shit would be hitting the fan yesterday. You know, Darren took his physical yesterday, right? And I'm not taking any more calls from Dominic. Also, Darren got the job, but he also got a letter from the health department saying he should come in. His appointment is tomorrow. She started coughing and sneezing, then said, I must be getting a cold. She continued with, I'm nervous. Plus, I've been feeling a little weak. It's probably from the stress. Besides the fact that I'm scared to check my voicemail and I don't go outside unless it's with Darren or the kids. Everything is good. I'm hoping Dominic won't approach me with them around, Waverly says. I swear that girl is in complete denial, shaking my head. Silly me for thinking she would feel any guilt about possibly spreading this horrible disease. But this is Waverly. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, so I keep my lips zipped and I tell her that I'm praying for a good outcome. Now, all of a sudden, I remember I left the food on the stove cooking. It's now 7:23 p.m. Hurriedly, I ended the phone call to go back inside. My veggies had almost burnt, but of course, Dale didn't notice a thing. I start the chicken on the stove, then return to the living room to wait for the news, all while giving Dale my best evil eye. Hmm. I really don't know why I married him. Looking back, there was no compelling reason why I should have. I guess it happened because he stayed. Oh well. I'll get tired of this routine one day. Until then, I'll just bid my time quietly. Dinner smells amazing, plus I'm starving, very tired, and something else, but I can't put my finger on it. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm horny, but I'll rub one out before I give it to Dale. Ain't that some terrible stuff? Yup. Finally, here comes the news. It's 8:30 and dinner is nearly done. The news didn't provide as many details as I had hoped, but there's always tomorrow. So far, no statement from Karen, and they did confirm that it was the boyfriend from DNA samples. The amount of skin that was found under the girl's nails with the rape kit indicated that she really must have put up a fight. Man, if that was my child, I'd already be tearing the city up because they cannot find Scotty P. You That's messed up. I wonder if Karen is still going to. She was there today, and this happened yesterday. You can never know people's thought processes. Suddenly, my thoughts are interrupted by Dale's voice telling me that the food is done and should he make our plates. Shocked at this small act of mercy, I am suspicious. But I did say yes. As I take my seat at the dining room table, Dale says, "Before you stepped out earlier, I was trying to ask you out to the movies." I asked what movie he was dishing out I asked what movie as he was dishing out our food. I need a sip or something. My coffee's cold. Gosh. I asked what movie as he was dishing out our food. My stomach is growling loudly, but I hear him say, "The new horror film that just came out, Never Dead." Maybe on my day off is my response. I'm also wondering, is that all he wanted to ask me? He says, "No, I also wanted to talk to you about having kids again. It's been 4 years and you never mention it." Almost catching me off guard. He almost always does this. If he only knew how I felt about our relationship as it relates to raising kids. Do we even have enough savings to even have this discussion? My response was, I guess because I figured it would just happen if it was meant to be. Plus, I'd rather be a homeowner when it does. Truth is, Dale is lazy, and I'd end up either paying for all kinds of maintenance or worse, doing it myself. Case in point, when I need an oil change, I pay. When I need brakes, I pay. When I need the car cleaned, I pay. All I'm saying is, if he can't manage a car, he damn sure can't manage a house and children. The only reason he does laundry is because it's his, so no, he is not ready. By the way, dinner was off the hook and children will have to wait. We ended the night with a small kiss, turned off all the lights in our two-bedroom townhouse, and went to bed. Dale to the right of the bed and myself to the left. Before you knew it, we were fast asleep, each in our own private dreams. The next morning, we rose at 4 o'clock to get ready for work. I saw Dale giving me the sex look. I don't have to clock in until 7 a.m., so I give in only because he is my husband and I don't have to like him to get a nut. He gets on his knees in front of me in our king size bed, then grabs both my legs, parting them with his face and tongue. Dale licked and kissed my pearly parts until I screamed for him to put a finger inside. This is the only time I enjoyed his hands. I got so excited I jumped up to grab his member, wanting to return the pleasure given, but was a little disappointed by his member not being fully erect as I had liked. So I started off slow with little nibbles to the head and shaft and slowly took him into my mouth while using my small hands to play with his balls. It finally got hard enough for him to give it to me in the missionary position. He actually made me come twice. His head game was on point. That's so easy enough. But the dick is usually a hit or a miss. It's not small, but I have to be in the right mind frame for me to get there. I am an asexual, a person who needs mental stimulation in order to perform sexually. In other words, you gotta fuck my mind, baby. Maybe he's just too tired to have sex. Maybe it's all that concrete work he does work in construction. We ended up showering around 5:30 a.m. together. We hadn't done that in a while. It felt nice. We kissed goodbye in the parking lot around 6:10 a.m. Me headed to the crazy house, him headed to his construction job as a mason. Today, he says they are working on a house. Tomorrow might be a high rise, depending on the bid for the job. I never really ask too many questions. Either way, it pays good money. I stop at the local sandwich shop for a breakfast platter on my way to work. It's on the way to the job, so I won't be too late. This short, stocky, nice looking guy with a lot of jewelry on and a very familiar face is in there ordering his food. He turns and says hello. I return the greeting, but I know his face from somewhere. I can feel his eyes on me as I finish ordering my food. He then proceeds to come over to me, looking me up and down. I try to scroll through my timeline to see the latest news for a distraction. As I'm scrolling, he comes up and says, "Hey, don't I know you?" I looked at him briefly, almost immediately dismissing his questions altogether. But inwardly, I was combing my mental index. Call it a gut feeling. At this point, I really don't know how to respond because I still don't recognize him. So I asked, "Where would you know me from?" I asked, and it's not like he ever saw me in person before, so I kept playing dumb until I could figure out how much he knew. The man looked like he would have no problem slapping a bitch. I, for one, wasn't going to be that bitch for nobody, especially today. Then he said, "You know what? I do know you. You're related to that bee named Waverly." I'm really not prepared for this shit this morning. God knows what this man could be thinking or ready to do. You see, it is at this moment that I remember exactly who this man is. Dominic. Yep. I remember Waverly saying he was short and chunky, plus he got money. She also said she was ducking him. Dominic is the last boy toy Waverly was dealing with when she found out she was infected. What were the chances of Dominic and I running into each other? Almost zero to none, especially since I didn't dabble in the games Waverly played. I'm like, "Excuse me, but Waverly is my cousin, but how do you know me? And furthermore, is there a problem?" He doesn't say anything right away, but I can feel his eyes still looking at me. He turns around and takes his phone out of his pocket. I see him checking his phone. Then I saw the look of recognition cross his features. Oh, shit. He comes back with, "Look, don't effing play with me. I see you on social media because we have a mutual friend. She is not taking any of my phone calls or messages. I'm trying to pull her coat to something serious. But the more I think of it, she probably already know." I feel stupid as hell. I had tried to get the out of there, but not before he could say, "Just tell her to get at me or don't. It's her death wish." Oh, shucks. Talk about a close call. Maybe she doesn't understand that people will kill you over issues like that. I walk to my car speechless and dumbfounded as he enters his brand new BMW and speeds away. I was so dang relieved that he was gone, I almost left my food. I went back and got it, of course. As I'm out with Marie, the lot was full. I walked into work maybe 5 minutes before I had to clock in and try to gobble down my breakfast. The eggs and toast were on point, but the bacon wasn't crispy how I like it. Done eating, I'm sitting in the report thinking about how my cousin Waverly is seriously playing with fire. Darren has his appointment today, so I'll need to check on her later. Everyone is finally settled in, and there is clearly a lot more staff on the unit than usual. I see Tim, my assigned coworker, the charge nurse, and like three extra staff members. They must be helping with the investigation involving John Q. So the charge from night shift starts the report with the sexual assault that occurred on my shift yesterday, tells us how we should proceed on a unit, then informs us about his removal from the building. He has released the names of the ones who assaulted him, and the extra staff is there to help during the interviewing process. Despite Despite this lengthy process, the unit must still run smoothly. The patients will still maintain schedules on and off the ward. Whatever, just hurry up is what I'm thinking. Let's get this over with so those monsters can do jail time. That was a horrible thing to witness. Very traumatizing. They assigned the first head check to me for the first. I knew you were coming. I heard that way, that way, that. No, not you get anything. You get out. Take it. Thank you. Merry Christmas. You may be a trans or your woman or whatever you mess with, but stop disrespecting me. I am not a transgender. And if I was, I would proudly shove it down your throat. Now stop it. It's Christmas. I hope you got that lump of coal and you didn't smoke it or snort it. Anyway. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. They assigned the first head check to me for the first 1 hour round of the shift. Before we could get out of the report, people started gossiping about last night's news about Karen. Some of them were saying she should be charged. Others were like, how the F could she come to work? She must have known about the abuse already. One of the extra staff was like, she waved temptation in front of a psycho and got what she asked for. What? This kind of talk coming from a so called medical professional is very frightening. So I already knew to stay the hell away from her. Time to hit the floor. As I entered the hallway to begin my rounds, I see Tim standing beside the medication line. He looks nice today, like he put a little effort into his looks. He said, what's up? Multitasking while monitoring the line and looking for more patients to come for their meds. This is part of our normal routine in the morning, but that was about the only thing normal about it. I reply, not much, but there's a lot going on in here today. How are you feeling this morning? You seem chipper, always optimistic. I tried to start most conversations on a positive note, hopefully making my coworkers' day go better than the day before. I actually still feel a little guilty for having to pull him into the investigation involving JQ, but him being the only regular male staff, it was only right. What can I say? It's part of the job. What can I say? I'm surprised you can type. Oh boy. I'm so surprised that you ended up here, not in anyone's septic tank. That's crazy. Tim laughed at this and said, after all that happened yesterday, I am just glad to be alive and even happier I have you to work with. Ending the statement with a wink. I hope he wasn't flirting with me. Lord knows I get weak sometimes, especially for a well groomed man, but even more so because we've been working with each other for 2 years now and know enough about each other's lives to be somewhat close. Tim knows about my lukewarm approach to the married life, and I know about his loser of a wife. But I'd like to think in some ways we have become more like family through those ups and downs. With this crazy investigation, we definitely have to have each other's back. I just know I could never be more than just friends with Tim. I just hope he feels the same. My simple response to his comment was, glad to hear. Yo, mama, and if you don't stop with all this hate crime that you are attempting on my page, I hope somebody on this page is ready to report this person because he's trying to be racist. Why are you here if you don't like us? Anyway, after medications, the charge nurse called Tim into the room for his part of the interview, which left one of the other male staff from the other units who was on the floor to assist me with whatever I needed help with. At the time, it was nothing but jocking the patients off to their activities laundry, gym, rehab, and work release, etc. He says his name is Paul. He seemed nice enough. The other four staff, which consisted of two med nurses and two psych nurses, began escorting the patients to their various destinations. I just kept it short with the female staff that ran her mouth in the report earlier. Of course, I'd like to know what's on Karen's mind after her daughter had been attacked, but I sure as hell wasn't about to judge. Especially not in front of anybody around here. Like I said, the world is small. The other guy was quiet, so there was no problem there. His name was Keith. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, my dear. I hope God blesses you as well, Miss Watson or Mr. Watson. Thank you for being here. Okay, before long, Tim came out of questioning with a look of relief. He told me it was my turn, so I began to mentally prepare myself to go over the horrible events once again. I took a deep breath as I approached the door, then nervously made my way into the room that had been transformed into a makeshift interrogation room. The investigators welcomed me with offers of coffee and treats, but I refused the half eaten Oreos and lukewarm fluid. I always prefer a cup of black coffee, but for some reason I wasn't feeling the tactic. I took a seat opposite of the female detective at a round table. The room was well lit, with only a small table and the three chairs that we were currently sitting in. There was a man and a woman, but only the woman spoke. She began by asking me to describe events leading up to me finding Juan Quentin in the bathroom stall. It seemed like the room became smaller as I told them briefly of my suspicions after coming from lunch that day. Then about the blank spaces on the head check and how it was weird to see certain patients socialize. Next, I told them how I had Tim escort me to the male bathroom. Finally, I described exactly how we found him in the stall and described his exact condition upon sight. Also, the fact that the charge nurse was made aware of all these events. It was really important that I make that part about the head check clear so that they can get the guys that committed the crime off the unit. I have this creeping feeling that the charge nurse was the one that left the head check blank. Call it a long shot, but that's my livelihood you're messing with. Later that day, when I went to lunch, I heard more gossip. Not much to my surprise, everyone was either talking about the gang rape on my unit or the Karen situation. I looked around the cafeteria and saw that Karen was not here that day because a lot of her so called friends were throwing their opinions around like rice at a wedding. Pam, the ringleader of the gossip train, had a whole table engulfed in convo, and all I heard was, "It's a damn shame. All the men in the world, you go and F a patient as if your coochie is all the medicine in the world his ass needed." If that were the case, the hospital would be empty and a whole lot of effing would be going on. Not to mention the mental health rate would be nearly non existent. I, for one, could even imagine a happier existence. Then I heard, why would you give him access to your kids knowing he was a ped? Ain't no D that good. World star. That statement alone might break the internet. This had to be one of the stupidest mistakes you can make as a healthcare provider who signed a contract stating that this actual circumstance would not likely occur. The worst was her ass either going to jail or going to end up living here. That's what her ass gets. Guess who said that? Yup. Motor Mouth from report earlier. I think her name is Fran or Francine, something like that. It doesn't matter because most of them are going to be buddying to Current's face as soon as they get the chance. That's why I don't do itches. Itches. I said itches. I didn't say the other the letter. So I'm back on the floor after my very entertaining lunch break and found that the ward had been turned upside down. I tried to ask the charge nurse what was going on, but she just had a distant look on her face and she said, changes. I would have asked her what that meant, but I wasn't sure she would have told me. We didn't have the best relationship, partly due to her frequent ego trips, but I don't hate the lady. She was, for the most part, good at her job. She would only occasionally have a slip up. Maybe this one was serious this time. As I walked down the hall, I saw some clothes packed up and waiting by the door. Immediately, I went looking for Tim. He said they identified the suspects and they were talking to the head nurse for over an hour after you left. Excuse me. He also added that since she came out of questioning, she had been very short with everyone. Oh, put a pause. The reason why you hear me, I changed certain words because this is a very graphic. This is a very graphic book, and I'm trying to change some of the words so it doesn't. It's not so bad, but some of the words I have to keep in place in order for proper context. Okay, back on. So, what did they find out? I asked. Part of me knew that the nurse played a big part in all of the drama going on. Thing is, not only did I not want to jump to conclusions, but I really hoped I wasn't right. Even though the nurse and I weren't close friends, I still would feel awful if she lost her job behind these incidents. Uh oh. Ronald Wilk, Percy Mitchell, and white boy Comer O'Neill did the assault on Juan. And now they may be going to prison for life because they were part of a murder for hire plot to gain money and sell drugs. There was an elaborate plan that they were sneaking and cheeking unswallowed medications that were classified narcotics to Juan Q, so that he can sell them in exchange for payment of the murder for hire plot they had orchestrated on another unit. The patient they murdered had beaten the crap out of JQ, putting him in the infirmary for 6 months. So Q decided to put a hit out on him. The patients were supposed to make it look like a suicide by hanging. The scene was so perfect, no one ever suspected it, but Juan still had to pay. He agreed that he would pay them with the sale of narcotics on the various units. Everything was going well until Juan got tired of being broke and started to skim money off the top. His entire bill was 15K and he only had 5K worth of debt left, but he was starting to slow down on payments. They were damn near getting $100 a week, if that. Lucky for him, this time they hadn't made him look like a suicide. I guess dead men don't pay. But now that he told his story, that might change, especially if he ends up in jail with them. With that being said, it's back to business as usual on the ward. The correctional officers from the prison arrived, and just like that, one by one, the patients who assaulted Juan Quentin were carted off to jail. The big surprise came when campus police showed up with a warrant, dogs, and a paddy wagon. They went directly to the nurse's station and asked for the charge nurse to remove her things, then quietly escorted her out of the building and into the back of the wagon, holding her head ever so gently. She looked very sullen and embarrassed, but she held her head high and left quietly. Tim and I kind of exchanged guilty looks. We knew it was either us or her, and it definitely wasn't going to be us. The next day came and went by fast. I skipped lunch and just coasted through the rest of the day with no appetite. I was sad about JQ's situation. Karen's daughter and that poor charge nurse, she couldn't have realized how such a small mishap could have a dire effect on her job. Once again, Tim had walked me to my car, then we said our goodbyes and went off to our separate lives. I sat in my car for a moment, thinking about Waverly, Darren, and their wild situation. Then I thought about Dominic and how he could react if he knew the truth. Also, the fact that I was really worried about my marriage and thought about how we needed to air some things out. With all these problems going on, I feel like I'm going to burst. I finally check my mirrors to make sure it's safe, then pull off to head home. When I got home, Dale wasn't there, so I used the time to check sweet wine before I dialed her number. Waverly answered on the third ring, sounding really great and upbeat. Things may not be that bad, but that's also me assuming. My first words were, "Hey, how are you feeling?" She said, "Great, Darren got the job. He went to his appointment at the health department. All he said when he got home was, 'Baby, I never leave you.' You know my mouth was hanging wide open, right?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Something ain't right. She continued with, "We have been lovey-dovey all day. Plus, Dominic finally stopped calling. Tova, what is going on with that lady on your job?" And just like that, the subject changed. She must have a lucky horse or a rabbit's foot hidden somewhere. This shit is incredible. Waverly be just, it seems like she gets away with a lot, right? After telling her how good her news was, secretly amazed, of course. I told her what the news was, the news about told me. Absolutely nothing. Besides, the 6 o'clock news hadn't come on yet, and Karen had stopped coming to work. I did, however, tell her about the event in my building with the nurse, of course. I couldn't provide too much detail, but enough to paint the picture. It's a small world, of course. We must have been on the phone a long time because when I hung up and turned on the TV, the news was just getting started. Now I'm sitting there staring at Karen's bloodshot red eyes as she says, I never thought that he would do this to me. He always looked out for my kids, and I. The reporter then asked the $1 million question. Knowing his mental background, I go take the wife and kids out to eat because that's how I roll. That was Darren. Back to Tova. Damn, I forgot to tell Waverly about running into Dominic. She really did sound relieved over the phone, so I really didn't want to upset her. Couldn't rain on her parade by mentioning running into Dominic. Maybe I should try to bring it up later, because she definitely needs to know about this. Dale arrived. He came into the house with a ravenous look in his eyes and proceeded to take me upstairs to put it on me for like 3 hours that night. Thick, 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 thick. He kept gazing into my eyes and caressing me. Dale blew my effing back out. I was starting to feel bad about all those fleeting moments and I wanted to leave. My husband's sex tonight was different and it was so good. I had to suck some D without being asked. Even he was surprised at my performance. Dale also blew my mind, being so attentive and loving. I could get used to this. For the first time in a long time, I remembered why I married this man. When Dale wasn't preoccupied, he was the only man who could love my mind. Yes, this is what I need. Kind of felt bad again later on because I had started comparing my husband to my coworker Tim. That was wrong. I only knew Tim from work. My husband is the man I chose 4 years ago. I should know him enough to know it's not for nothing. For all I know, Tim may have to put up with spousal abuse because he probably farts in his sleep. Oh well, one thing for sure, I'm going to try harder with Dale. All right, sugar shit. You ready? Let's go. I'm in my car jamming to Mr. Yeah by the American Dream with my coffee in my hand. I'm on a natural high, and I must say the D that I received last night was life. When I got out to my car this morning, Dale had already left for work. I must have been knocked out when Dale got up this morning. He had filled my gas tank up, left me a love note for a date night with breakfast and lunch money. I am completely in heaven. Do you hear me? I ran all my usual morning errands before I headed off to Peachtree. After a while, as I'm turning up the road to work, suddenly I hear sirens behind me, so I pull over to let them pass. I'm a little early for work, so I wait a few minutes to see where the cars turn. Wow, real police on hospital grounds mean big trouble. I also noticed the building they went to was Karen's building. My heart is racing. I can't believe she's actually still coming to work. How can she function without knowing what is going to happen to her other children? All this for some crazy cock? No way. This can't be happening. Eventually, I drove off to my assigned area, sure that people are aware of the police being on grounds. Once inside, I see everyone in an uproar. Tim already knows it's about to go down, but there's more. JQ's body has been found unresponsive in bed after an alleged overdose. Investigators are still trying to determine if it was a suicide or not. What a morning. Lunch. Come 1 o'clock, I returned from lunch choosing Chipotle because my husband's grand gesture made me able to afford it. Then out of the blue, I received a text from Dale saying Darren was shot. Now I'm rushing to the hospital after trying to get someone to relieve me for 3 hours. Something just isn't right. I can feel it. I'm speeding feverishly when it suddenly hits me. Why or how does Dale know about Darren, and when did they get that close? I mean, I knew they were cool, but my husband is supposed to be at work, not with Darren. When I got to the emergency parking lot, I saw Waverly's car, so I pulled into the spot next to her. I also see a familiar black car, but I'm in a rush, so I forget who drives it. It'll come to me later. Dale meets me at the entrance with a big hug and kiss. He informs me that Darren is stable, but still can't identify the shooter. Waverly is at her husband's side, and the girls are at your grandmother's house, Dale said. I still really want to know why and how Dale was there. Still not processing, so I asked. He claims he was leaving the construction site when he saw Darren being carted out by some EMTs to an ambulance. He also told me he couldn't recall where they were exactly when all this occurred. I call bullshit. Sooner or later, I have to. Sorry, I meant to tell you what section we were in now. We're in Dale now. Sooner or later, I have to cut this lying shit out if I plan on keeping my wife. I think Tova is beginning to suspect something. I just know it. You don't spend years undercover and not pick up when someone is on to you. Shit. I was actually right there watching as whoever the little mother effer was ran away from the scene when the ambulance was pulling up, which means D definitely knew who shot him. Imagine you are working on a construction site pretending to read a map while secretly running surveillance. Then an ambulance pulls up, and at the same time, the perp is running in the opposite direction. Then 6 police cars pull up coming from the other way. They got out and started blocking off the entrance to a pretty decent low-key 5-star hotel. Then swarmed the place with guns drawn. Pointless. Moments later, the medics escort a familiar face out on a gurney. After adjusting my binoculars for a better view, I can't believe who I saw. It was Darren. He looked hurt, but otherwise nervous as hell. That's understandable with him having a wife and all. I finally made my way over there, and I heard him telling the medics that he doesn't want anyone notified. Meanwhile, I'm dying to see who he was with, so I offered him some backup by running over there quickly to tell them I'd accompany him to the hospital. It seemed to work for them, since 1, I was nosy, and 2, he could possibly be ruining my surveillance. Why not get the advantage? The look of relief that crossed Darren's face was priceless. Of course, when the cops started to question him, I made it a point to listen because I was very invested in the man's answers. After repeatedly telling the officers he didn't see the shooter, I figured he wasn't going to give them any real information. He just kept circumventing every question. I can't be sure about it, but I will find out. All right, so boom. I jumped in Darren's car to meet the medics at the ER. I really didn't want them to find out about the hotel rendezvous, at least not until after I found out the details, that is. His wound wasn't fatal, so he ended up waiting in line for surgery. During this time is when he begged me not to tell our wives anything about the hotel incident. Even though I didn't see exactly who the shooter was, we still have to be on the same page about what happened. He grabs his phone for me to call his wife before I begin to dial Tova's number. I do my best to make sure I don't give her more info than she needs, then have her meet me at the hospital. We are literally standing on a bunch of half-truths. Are you excited yet? Are you entertained? We are getting there. We're getting to the juicy parts. Waverly Way. Damn. I was really scared when I saw the hospital's number pop up on the call ID. Lately, I have been on cloud 9, happy my husband won't leave, and even happier about this new dude, Jack, I'm fucking. He spent all his money on me, so it was very surprising to hear Dale's voice when I picked up the phone and not Jack's. I was even more alarmed when he said Darren had been shot. Was I wrong for being relieved that it wasn't bad news about my health and the fact that I wasn't the cause? After hanging out with Dale, I called my great aunt to watch the girls before I headed out to the emergency. As I rushed to the car, I noticed the same pretty little dark car with tints that I didn't notice before. I figured it must be new because of the shine on it. I couldn't really see the driver, though. It must be a girl. This temporarily distracted. I thought of Dominic, and I was glad he finally stopped calling me. I don't have time for stalkers. As she sped off to the hospital, it never occurred to her that she was being followed by said vehicle, but she did want to know why Dale was there before her. Off back to Dominic's section. This is one inconsiderate ass B. Not one damn time did she return my calls. And Shorty must not checked her messages. I thought for sure they would be in court by now. I wasn't supposed to fall in love. It wasn't even like that for me. But he made it okay. I remember it clearly. I'm a truck driver, and in order to maintain my license, there's a medical exam I have to take called the DOT physical to see if I'm still fit to drive. Shorty was the tech assigned to do my lab work. He noticed that my hands were really smooth, saying, "Good to see a guy with nice hands." The way he moved around the room made me watch him. It was like watching liquid. It was like watching liquid flow. He was so smooth. From head to toe, I was intrigued by his confidence. When he mentioned my hands, an old but familiar feeling started flaring. Was it my curiosity in his cat, or vice versa? I smiled, not knowing quite how to respond to a compliment from a guy who I assumed was straight. So I said, "Thanks, but it's from all the masturbation." Guess I thought maybe this would end the conversation right there, but somehow it didn't. He actually said, "I get off in an hour, so maybe I can put lotion on my hands too before I head home tonight." Real easy like, you know. He kind of knew I'd try. So I said, "Okay, it'll be the first time for me, but let's see if it'll be the last." To myself, I sound wild, but as I see the smile spread on his face, I decided right then and there that he was bi and sexy. That's a Dominic section. Are we following? Okay. At first, it was hand jobs and nonstop head, but as time went on, we got freakier. This one time, he was licking and while jerking, and I was turned on. I released right in my own mouth. We didn't even care. We just kissed and ate the rest off of each other. It was all over the place. I put my 9 inch all the way in, while this dude watched me from the reflection of the mirror. He never took his eyes off mine while I released everything I had left in me. Then he flipped me over and decided to pound me until he released all inside of me. I had the nerve to ask for more. Now I'm all turned out, but I like the fact that he plays it straight. Bottom line is, I like my freaky link. Maybe I found someone to see me through until the end. Mind you, I curved a lot of the because it's really really juicy. Okay, but then this happened. I was making a delivery to my customer when I saw Shorty kissing and holding somebody on a porch. They were looking extra booed up. I can't lie, a sharp pang of jealousy shot through me in an instant. My competition looked good and they seemed really happy together. Oh, hell no. Now I'm turned out and caught up. You see, the first time we had sex was the night before I actually started working for a new cartel by myself. I literally just hit the lick of a lifetime for some big money. Now, today, this is the first thing I see when I bend the effing corner. Somebody will have to pay. After our last session, I should have suspected that he was trying to cut me loose because he got dressed real fast and wouldn't look me in my eyes. He then turns slowly and tells me that he's positive with full blown AIDS. He also wants to tell me that he is not going to keep living a double life with me. His wife doesn't know about us and that he'll never leave his family. He also says he doesn't know when he contracted it. Little did he know I was more than likely the culprit, but what he didn't know wouldn't hurt him. Good for me, especially since the privacy policy at his company doesn't give lab techs access to test results. Guess it was all my emotions catching up with me. But I have been feeling a lot more tired lately. Sometimes I get weak thinking about finding someone to share this death with. I know I was reckless. I should have left his people alone. Last time I messed with a married man, it was different. We had awesome sex, but it wasn't all caught up like I am. But I wasn't all caught up like I am now. I guess because I know we couldn't be more due to our circumstances. Plus, one time I think he beat me while he effed me. But I was so turned on by the violence and intensity, I didn't even think of it until now. He had come over to an apartment my lover Helena and I kept separately from her husband Lee and asked for a drink. He looked a little stressed as he loosened a few buttons on his polo shirt. Joe was big and strong, all muscle, so when he flexed, you could see prints and all. He kept a thickly trimmed mustache that he always pulled on when he was upset. He was pulling on it. Joe sat down and drank his shot of whiskey straight back and neat. He always kept the minibar well. We always kept the minibar well stocked, so he quickly asked for another. After about four more rounds, he stood up, unzipped his pants, and started it right in the den, less than 2 feet away from my face. At first, I was surprised at his candor, but I couldn't stop looking at the way he was relaxing himself. He was looking at me while continuing. This aroused me. I must have been salivating because before I knew it, I was over there in front of him. He backed me up against the chair with my hands pinned above my head. It was so hard my head hit the wall. Once he was finished, he choked me until I spit it out. Then Joe pulled me out of the chair like I wasn't a man and started ripping at my clothes. He slapped me and kissed me until I was naked, then bit me. He did a lot. By the time he was done, I was in a raw. I was in a spiral. I cannot finish this. This is highly inappropriate. But let's get back to Tova because I have taken you to a whole different place. After they patch, yes, it's called Inside Gossip by Alexis Sisco. And yes, this is a read. After they patched Darren up, the police began to ask more questions. Suddenly, most of them went unanswered because Darren was doing a good job not answering until he was discharged. He told them everything but who the shooter was, even told them what the curtains looked like. Everyone listening could tell he was lying, but to him, he was doing a great job as long as he didn't name the shooter. Finally, when we were all able to leave the hospital, it dawned on me that we still didn't know where or who the shooter was. Waverly took Darren in her Navy Nissan Rogue. Dale drove their other car, and since I came alone, that's how I left. Dale gave me a kiss as he walked me to my blue Lexus SUV and said he'd meet me at the house after dropping Darren's car off. I got a effing funny feeling. I keep downplaying my intuitions as usual. This week just has been too much. Dale got home within minutes of me parking. He parked quickly, then hopped out quickly to meet me at the door. Dale approached me from the back as I put my key in the door, and with a slow kiss at the base of my neck, I know he is hiding something, but I really need him right now, so I gave him total control. The door finally opens, and we practically fall into the door from making out so aggressively. Dale grabs my fluffy hourglass figure around the waist with his huge arms. He is so strong with his 6'3" stature, muscles, and square shoulders. His skin is caramel like his eyes. We share that in common. Speaking of eyes, he is looking at me as I undress. I am glad that my underwear is of the pretty kind, with my full double Ds. Slightly thick waist and round, firm behind. I turn myself on. Dale watches me intently as I remove my underwear. He motions for me to get on the sofa because we never left the front door. He started at my feet with light pecks and licks, then moved up my legs, slowly making sure to get both kneecaps and thighs. When Dale got to my prize, he became an artist. I swear he was spelling the alphabet in cursive with slow strokes. It felt like an earthquake was about to happen when I reached climax. My mouth was open from screaming when Dale grabbed me by my hair and pulled me to the floor. I was all too eager to please. My mouth waters as I attempted to swallow him whole, throbbing and bobbing to an imaginary beat. He released every drop. I hungrily consumed him, with his loud roar echoing through the house. Damn, my man is a beast when we get like this. Dale literally kicks the wooden coffee table and its belongings out of the way, then pulls me to the floor and positions. I ended up on my hands and knees, with my back arched ever so slightly, nearly touching my thighs. He starts to rub me and causes me to purr and rub up against him. I feel how hard he gets when he touches me. My body feels anxious with energy as he gently massages me. I'll skip that part. I want this man so bad. He is doing everything right to me. He begins. I got impatient and I slammed back, causing him to scream. It was low and seductive. I needed to hear more. He was in agony. Can you stop asking me crazy questions? As we continued our lovers' dance, Dale put his hands around my waist to sustain me for what was coming. He was now very viciously pounding me. Now we were both sweating and breathing as hard. I love seeing the faces he makes. I smiled up at him with all dimples and brown eyes. My curly, dirty brown blonde hair creates a curtain around our faces as we kiss. Our bodies reconnect. It feels like 100 different sparks running through my body. I begin to pulsate. My husband is pumping life into me like he's a defibrillator at this point. My hips start to match his rhythm with every thrust, making our love language inaudible gibberish. Felt like forever and 20 positions before we finally got up to wash. After all that, I still couldn't forget about Dale and Darren and Way and all these secrets. 2 wonderful hours passed as we lay on the floor from our session. A very unfocused me gets up off the floor. My legs are sore, but my body is satisfied. I think nothing of the events at the hospital. I just see my beautiful husband lying there. Why can't I always view him like this? I woke Dale up so that we could go up to the bedroom to rest for the night. Oh well, back to work tomorrow. And that's how I fall asleep, thinking about him and work. 2 a.m. on the dot. I am wide awake. I feel around in the bed, and Dale is nowhere to be found. We usually got dressed together before work. Last night's detail played a big part in my confusion because in my mind, things were supposed to be good. Without us having that conversation about what happened, once again, I feel lost on my own husband. First, he and Darren seemed to be close, a fact I didn't know. Second, we never found out who the shooter was. Third, Dale left our damn bed without telling me. I take a look at my cell to see if maybe he called, but all I see is a missed call from an unsaved number. So I dismiss it as a wrong number. Suddenly, I hear sounds at the front door. A quick feeling of relief passes before being replaced with a strong anger for his actions. I hurry out of the room to confront him at the base of the steps. Too late, he's already coming up, so we meet at the top. I want to know what happened at the hospital and why you were there. That's the first thing that exits my mouth when I get to him. He looks like he's trying to gather his thoughts, but I'm on his ass. Are you and Darren hiding something? Where did you go this morning and why? When I finally let him breathe, he told me about how he was at the construction site and happened to see Darren with the medics. He still didn't say where they were, just the site. And obviously, Darren wasn't on the site. It just doesn't add up. He then told me he left out to meet his boss with the blueprints he had run off with at the time of the incident. Something about the project ending soon. Finally, he eases past me, and without another word, we make our way to bed to get the last bit of rest before the alarm goes off. What is wrong with you? Somebody get Caramel. What the world? Carmen or whatever he is. Like, what is going on with you? 4 a.m. Dale and I awakened to the alarm. He rolled over and got out of the bed, his thick eyebrows knitted together. Dale's face was nearly a grimace as he slammed the bathroom door shut. But when he came back out and saw me naked in my robe, with my hair tousled, face full of tears, he decided our anger would have to wait. My husband took me back to bed. I was scared to ask questions. I had to start putting my foot down and ask questions. 5 a.m. Dale and I wake up to the sound of the alarm going off again. Now for another not quite so routine morning, I guess. I start rolling over and can see he is watching me, so I decide it's now or never. Good morning, secret squirrel, I say. And he doesn't respond at first, but I can tell he's considering what to say. I continue with, whatever you're into, you need to tell me because I will not keep functioning on half truths. He turns around to get out of bed, then stands completely up and says, as much as I want to say right now, it'll never be the truth because I'm not finished. And sometimes information can do you more harm than good. But I promise this will be over soon. Then and only then will I will reveal all I know that has been going on. I really don't I really don't think he knows who he's playing with. I caught on to that loophole he put into it, but I'll let him have his time for now because I'm nervous. He walks over to my side of the bed and grabs my small hands into his really big ones. He looks into my eyes and kisses me. Dale is not slick at all, but I love him. And I get the feeling this is not the time to push. So, like a good little wife, I kiss him back. Then we both silently get dressed and went to work. Hey, sometimes you can't push the issue. Sometimes you got temper. This shit here. I must have been angry because when I pulled into the parking lot, I discovered that my top was on backwards. After fixing my wardrobe malfunction, I went into the building and immediately walked into the nurse's station for a report. As I attempted to find a seat, Tim says, "Good morning." He was filling in his timesheet when he asked if everything was okay. I know I left in a rush yesterday, but I still didn't want anyone in my business. I told him it was just a family emergency without all the details. The world is small and information has a tendency to make it smaller. So, in walks the charge nurse for the day. Because ever since the old one got fired, we never got a permanent replacement. Apparently, our unit now has a shady stigma about it. Whatever. It's a freaking mental hospital. Duh. We are all seated at the table as the nurse begins to serve us our court summonses. While I knew it was coming, it felt like it was way too soon. Anyway, the incident that happened with Juan Q called for us to testify so that the case can move forward with prosecuting the rapist. The nurse hands a copy of the paperwork to each of us with our names printed in bold black letters. As I read over mine, I notice Tim puts his copy down and my nosy ass looks. I'd say observant, but Timothy Jacqueline Robbins, nice enough, a little too feminine to me, but to each his own. It looks like we practically have the same papers except for the names and the numbers. I'll admit that even though this was serious business, his name was hilarious. LOL. His name was Jacqueline. Waverly. We're back to Waverly. We're over here with Waverly now. This is funny how much I like Jack. His kid's mom has been calling nonstop for the last hour, but neither one of us cared enough to pay it any mind. She's probably mad that she has to watch her own children. Not to mention, we have been shopping on his dime for the last 2 weeks. Can't blame her. I got Jack wrapped around all my fingers, neck, and wrist, so I know it's hard to hide. Last week, I decided to give him some while using protection, but he slid the condom off, saying he wanted to feel me. I really wanted to stop him and be honest, but it felt so good. Plus, he is a grown ass man and he should know the consequences of such actions. Besides, it was only after the fourth round. Don't get me wrong, I love Darren, but Jack makes me feel alive and he spoils me. I think I'm falling in love. I need to call Tova. She always has good advice, and I really trust her opinion. She basically is the only one I can confide in. Darren isn't even talking to me anymore. It seemed like ever since he got shot, everything has become so secretive with him. Half the time I'm so caught up with my love affair, I don't really care to ask. The other times I spend between the girls, trying everything to keep up appearances. The best part is Darren stays home with the girls more, so as long as I get to spend more time with Jack, I really could care less. That's your girl Waverly. That's how she get out. Back to Darren. Damn, what the fuck? Shorty actually shot me in a fit of rage. I had no other choice but to let Shorty go, or Way would have definitely found out. I do wonder though where the hell Dale came from to save me from the medics. Tova really looked spooked when she got to that hospital. But my man Dale came through with all the answers to calm the scene. He really did hold it down. I still don't know how much he saw back at the hotel. I don't even know why he was there, but I was grateful for the distraction, especially when the doctors came back with my labs. Isn't anybody's business that I am full-blown positive. But I can't allow my bullshit to take me away from my kids. I don't care about nobody else. Dominic. Something should have happened by now. I mean, I did shoot the man. Wow. I thought the trip to the hospital would smoke them out, or at least maybe send one of them packing. As usual, bees ain't shit. She must never check her messages. It doesn't seem like he will be budging anytime soon. I thought after our last session, Shorty wanted to spend his life with me, but I was sadly mistaken. Like it happened with her. I'm so heated right now. Rage is all I feel. They both used me. Even though I was the one to target her, somehow it backfired on me. She is just like that bee of an ex-wife. I definitely need to speed things up. I only had 2 more shipments to this region before the money picks up and goes. This laundering gig is way too sweet to get busted over recklessness. I don't have that much time anyway. Tim's wife. Oh yeah, we haven't met her yet. This is the first time. I'm really just starting to hate this dude. He don't make enough money to be effing around. We have been calling his phone. I've been calling his phone all day to no avail. I hate being in here with these kids. I should have aborted them all. They aren't even his, but he begged me each time for me to have them. I'm used to drug dealers with real long money, not this broke ass shit. Let's keep it real. The only reason I stay is the benefits. He has always accepted them as his, so why mess up a good thing? I still manage to run into their real fathers once in a while. Well, one for sure. Anyway, I just received his credit card statement in the mail, and I haven't seen anything like what's on his bill in his house. All I see is high end shit, and he got me hella fucked up if he thinks I'm not looking for it. I gotta weigh my options, especially if he asks for a paternity test. If I file for divorce,